I know. It's been quite a month. Let's just say that. It's been quite a month. Now, over the past month or two, I've been going to some protests, and they're protests like anti-Trump, anti-Elon Musk protests. Now, the one that I've been going to has been located here in Venice. Another one that I went to was in Sarasota. I plan on branching out and going different places. There's one coming up soon that I would like to go. It's on a Tuesday. I'm gonna have to take off work again. But this I'm going to show you, and I'm gonna pull up the page that I made for the event. This is kind of like recent events, and I want to read kind of a little bit of it. And I want to talk about my experience in going to these protests and talking to people that believe in something different than I do. Now, this was the protest that took place on April 19th, 2025. Obviously, this is called the No King protest. All right. This protest was apparently nationwide too. This happened all over the nation. There were protests held nationwide and across the county of Sarasota. The location I was at the Michael Park in Venice, Florida, corner of US 41 and Tampa Avenue. This event was to start at 1 p.m. and last till 3 p.m. Another name for the protest was We the People National Day of Action, or the No King protest. Now, when we look at these protesters and the people who are protesting, the majority of them are older folks. They are people who are older and most likely retired, and they held a lot of religious signs. They did. And the funny thing about this was that even though they were holding up religious signs, they didn't want to talk about Jesus or religion because in a sense they told me that they was forcing their beliefs down others' throats. So they will make these claims. Jesus was a refugee, which obviously can be debunked completely. And they'll make these claims, but they won't back it up. And they'll walk away because they don't want to look at all scripture. The biggest thing that I realized talking to this group of people was the fact that they really misinterpreted the Bible a lot. Not even just that, but they pick and choose what they want to believe when it comes to the Bible. So when they say stop, and there's one sign that I'm going to try to find, like here, we have this one. Like this guy says, I'm a better Christian than Trump and I'm an atheist. Okay? That type of stuff to me is ignorance, parasites. It was MAGA morons are governing America. Monsters are governing America. It's just, yeah. And then that was there too. That. And when I say that, yeah, I'm trying to find the Jesus one. So here's this one. Now, when I was there and was walking around, a lot of them were asking me if I was a Christian or believed in Jesus. And if I said yes, they would say, do you believe in this, and that? And a lot of it, again, was like kind of like a word game. It was if I disagreed with them, then I don't love Jesus, so I'm not a true Christian. Okay, but they would put it in a way where it was like blasphemy, and in a sense, like if I didn't agree with them. So here we have hands off, stop MAGA perversion of Jesus' teachings. The reason why they have this is because apparently Trump Jr. Was on stage and he was talking about turning the other cheek, and he said that got us nowhere. So I mean that's the reason why they have that. But when I was seeing these religious signs, I got the idea after they asked me if I was Christian several times. Then I got the idea I'm gonna walk around and ask people if they believe that Jesus should be king. Okay, and that didn't go too well. So the first thought that came to my mind was, why now? Why now care about the Constitution and what it stands for? And the reason why I put that question, why now care about the Constitution and what it stands for, is because they didn't really care in the beginning. They didn't care. Now I'm in between. I'm independent. I voted for Trump, and I'm not going to vote for Kamala Harris. I'm not going to vote for anybody that stands for communism and more government. Okay? And they do. It is a communist revolution that they want. The things that they want: more government, banning things, freedom of speech being taken away, etc. Hate speech is literally anti-speech. So these little things make me not want to vote for a Democrat because they make it very known, and they're not hiding it anymore. That's the thing. So my thing was like, why now care about the Constitution and what it stands for? That I also put the communist star and sickle. So Kamala has made it clear that she thinks of the right to bear arms and the right to protect oneself. What I don't get is the lack of understanding regarding law-abiding citizens and criminals who break the laws already in place. What politicians do is ignore the fact the more laws we put into place, the more we are hurting just the common law-abiding citizen and not stopping criminals from acting and hurting other people. And my point is that when things happen and these criminals do something, the government is coming into play and saying, oh, we got to punish the law-abiding citizen and we're not going to go after the criminal. We're going to make it harder for the law-abiding citizen to do things, and we're not going to make it harder for the criminal. Because the criminal is going to break rules. Okay, that's what makes him a criminal. He already breaks the law. So what are these extra laws going to do? Nothing but harm the law-abiding citizen. During the protest, I had the chance to walk around and ask the question, should Jesus be king? To those holding the no king signs. So there was a lot of people holding the signs that say no king. And surprisingly, a lot of those people were the ones that asked me if I was Christian. What gives me this idea was the very fact that many of the protesters were asking me if I was Christian or if I believed in Jesus. When I was asked 3 times if I was Christian, I started asking others the same thing, but in a different manner. The signs they held said no king. They held this sign because they are fully convinced that Trump is trying to take complete control of America and stay in power for another term. This being said, they don't want Trump to be the king of the people. Sadly, when I asked the question, should Jesus be king, they all said no, but one. Many did not want to speak about their religious beliefs because they view talking about them as forcing the beliefs onto others. This was interesting considering they were protesting with big signs on all 4 corners of the intersection, screaming and waving to everyone driving by. Seems quite hypocritical to me. Now, the 2 videos right here, which I think you guys can watch on YouTube. We're not gonna watch them now, but I just get in conversations. Should Jesus be king? That was it. That's all I asked. Should Jesus be king? One lady said yes, the other said no. So that was quite disappointing. Now, these protests that have been taking place are honestly some of the most interesting protests that I've been to. I have been able to see and kind of talk to these people to find common ground. And that was the whole point of me going, was to find common ground. And I would talk to these people about the border. I talked to a LGBT guy about what Trump is really focusing on when it comes to the LGBT. I spoke to others about religion, separation of church and state, and etc., and more things like that. Now, talking to these people was good. Now, this is before I told them I voted for Trump. Now, when I talked to these people, it was all fine and dandy. Conversations went well. I would just talk to them and speak to them, and they would talk to me in a loving manner, and they would talk to me with respect and openness and etc. But when I told them that I voted for Trump at the very end, their attitude switched. Their attitude turned to more of a annoyance. Hostile. Like I was hostile to them. Like I was a threat to them. They became very uncomfortable speaking to me. And at one point it was like, what is this coming from? You know, what is this honestly coming from? Because I want to bridge the gap. I want to be there. I want to see what we can agree on to find common ground. And to be very honest, we did. When we talked about the border, what should happen to illegals? Should we have a wall? Should we have a process? What should happen to the gang members from Guatemala and Cuba? What should what is the point of feminism if we're going to say that men are the problem, but then allow men to transition to girls and allow them into girls' sports or the girls' bathrooms? They all agreed basically on the fundamentals of those things. But the moment I talked to them and told them I voted for Trump, now that was the thing. That's what kind of pushed them away, you know? And I was talking to, apparently there's guys like at the former, mayor of Venice, Florida. And I was talking to him and he was very kind. He was open. I was trying to ask him questions about Venice, Florida, and etc. and blah, blah, blah. And then I told him I voted for Trump, and all of a sudden his attitude changed and he became annoyed and angry. And I even pointed that out to him. Why are you becoming so hostile? Because he was kind of getting in front of my face, telling me that, Trump's an evil person and Trump's this and Trump's that. And I'm like, buddy, talk to me like a regular human being. Why are you becoming so hostile? The lady I was talking to wasn't hostile. She was one of the most kind ladies. And I spoke to her and I talked to her, and at the end of it she says, I learned a lot speaking to you, and a side that I never thought about, and I'm gonna look into it. And she was very kind, and she went to all these protests, so she saw me, and that's why she approached me. And yeah, so I just, that's my experience in going to these protests, is that it's all friendly, it's all kindness, it's loving. And then the moment that you tell them that you voted for Trump was where it's like I betrayed them. Like I stabbed a family member and they hate me. That's why when I was talking to these people, I realized like I can't tell them right away that I voted for Trump. I'll just say I'm independent, like, because I am independent, but I can't tell them like I voted for Trump right from the beginning. I gotta be able to talk to these people and kind of like bridge the gap a little bit, find common ground, speak to them before I tell them that I voted for Trump. Because if I just tell them I voted for Trump, they're going to be very hostile from the very beginning. I also noticed they don't like their pictures being taken. A lot of them would hide behind their signs when they saw me or walking towards them with the camera. And when other people and other fellow Democrats were taking photos of them, then they would be open and they would put down the signs and they would smile. They would get their photos taken. But with me, it was like, okay, we don't know what you're here for. Now, obviously, I looked like a news guy. I had my bag on my side. I had my backpack. I even, in Sarasota, I had my vest on with media on it. So I was walking around with that to make it very clear that I'm here to take photos. Now, I did talk to a lot of people. None of those conversations were recorded due to the fact that it was just kind of, it felt more hostile. So I didn't mind to take videos or photos or whatever conversations. That's why I don't have any conversations to upload when it comes to the Sarasota protests. But that was the May Day protest, by the way. Obviously, I know that word's probably going to get around. These people are very heavily involved in each other's groups, so I would not be surprised if they ended up just taking they wanted to take a photo of me so bad. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they took a photo of me and they spread it around all the groups and said, don't let him in. Because that's how they acted when I told them I voted for Trump. Now, they want peace. They want a solution, but they only want to do it their way. And if they don't have their way, they don't want you in it. That's it. Inclusion until you disagree with them. Equality until you disagree with them. They have the right to speak, protest, hold signs, but we don't have the right to do so because we disagree with them. And when we disagree with them, well, we're part of a cult. We're Nazis. We're nothing but Hitler. And that was actually one of the photos, which I thought was interesting, which I'm going to try to find. Right here. Do you think this helps? Do you think this helps? Now, I guarantee you, this man here does nothing more but sit on his couch when he's home and watches the news. I guarantee you, this man right here has not talked to a Republican or conservative about the issues in the political system today. I guarantee you. My parents survived Hitler's Germany. Will we survive Trump's America? When you put these two faces together, you're putting more fume in the fire. And you're making people more hateful and not want to work together. This does not create teamwork. This is not a solution. Because I guarantee you, if we were to put a picture of Adolf Hitler and Stalin and Kamala Harris together, he would lose his mind. But I know one thing is that if we did that, he would have nothing to say. He wouldn't know how to defend Kamala Harris. Matter of fact, I really guarantee you that if he would ever talk to a Republican or conservative, we would be able to dismantle every single argument that he has against Trump. Not using CNN or ABC News. We literally can just show you videos being pro-free speech, freedom of choice, freedom of religion, freedom to own your house, making it easier to live, making it easier to have a family. I guarantee you, he wouldn't be able to provide one thing. See, these are all slander, and they think this is the solution. This guy here gave me his email, and I still have his email, and he wanted me to send him the videos and the photos that I took of him. I won't do that. And the reason why is because I'm not going to partake in what they're doing. This doesn't solve anything. You think that's going to solve anything? Now, if you had a flag that says, I don't like Trump, ask me about it, then that would maybe be something different. But you just have Trump sucks. And if I were to honestly come up to this guy and talk to him or try to speak to him about why is Trump a felon? What makes him a rapist? How is he a traitor? How is he anti-vet? And what makes him a scumbag? He's gonna walk away. The usual response that I usually get from people who just throw out these names and accusations about like President Trump, the usual response that I get from them when I ask what makes Trump a rapist, the usual response is, if you don't know by now, then you're brainwashed. Then you're nothing more but a sheep. If you don't know that Trump is a felon by now, you're brainwashed. This right here is the definition of being brainwashed. This right here. Now this is a girl, by the way. This is not a young boy. This is a girl. This is a woman. This is the definition of brainwash. So we have here, follow women's rights, democracy. Follow gay pride, democracy. Follow inclusive or DEI, democracy. Kids' health, kids' education, Trump's legacy, gone, truth, due process, job security, quality education, medical research, global partnership. And when you actually look into the stuff, you find that everything that they're saying is a lie. So this was the May Day, which I'm gonna make a video talking about this one. This one was a little bit different. So we'll see about that. We're gonna talk a little bit about this next time. So until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just a very small video talking about the recent protests that have been taking place. I plan on doing some more or going to more. I have a lot to say, and I'm willing to speak out, and I'm willing to have dialogue and conversation in hopes that the other side would too. And I'm hoping that they don't get so offended or feel like I'm a threat because I tell them that I voted for Trump. Literally after we've had such a civil, good conversation for the past 20 minutes, and now you change. I hate that. What does that do? Because it does nothing.